So tonight we have a Q&A session, and we will go into the Q&A. I read about the 6 properties: earth, water, heat, wind, space, and consciousness. A, what is the property of space? And B, how does it manifest in Vipassanā meditation? So this is from Kelly Key in PJ, Pataling Jaya. Now, these 6 properties was mentioned by the Buddha in the Majjhima Nikaya 140, Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, in the exposition of elements. Now, this sutta is quite interesting because the Buddha trying to define a lot of things, because this sutta, the Buddha was talking to one so-called monk, but he hasn't met the Buddha yet. It's quite interesting. He hasn't met the Buddha yet. So one day or one night, this Pakusati went to a shed, and this Pakusati was on the way to see the Buddha. But the Buddha knows that this Pakusati is already very ripe in attainment already. So the Buddha also came to that particular shed to stay together with the Pakusati. But Pakusati doesn't know that he is the Buddha. So the Buddha asked him, so where are you going? He says, then the Pakusati said, I'm going to see the Buddha. I'm going to see the Buddha. So have you seen the Buddha before? He said, I have not seen the Buddha before. Then after that, the Buddha starts to give some talks, and the Buddha gave a very deep talks, It's called the exposition of elements, because the Buddha is breaking down a lot of things, And this one is very much connected with Abhidhamma also. And also there's another part of this on this particular sutta. There are also 18 aspects of elements. The Buddha also defined the 18 aspect of elements, in the sense that you have an eye object, you have eye consciousness. So 3. So 3 times the 6 sense doors, so 18. So something like that the Buddha gave, and then at the end he became the Pakusati became enlightened. So there's one part of it, the Buddha also defined it, that there's this earth, water, heat, wind, space, and consciousness. So here, earth, water, heat, wind, these are material elements, all right? And you know that consciousness here when it says consciousness, it falls under it's not falls under the aggregate of just consciousness. It falls under as a mind as a whole. Mind as a whole. So you have aggregate of matter, which is earth, water, heat, and wind, and you have the aggregate of the mind, which is all the 4 aggregates falls under consciousness. So what is space then? Now, space here is quite easy. Space here means that the space, just like a hole where there is free from the material aggregates, free from material aggregates. Now, you have to remember, these things was mentioned 2,500 years ago. You don't try to be too smart. I say the space also got inside. They got molecules of oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, and everything. Don't put into that. You must to remember that this is given 2,500 years ago, and when the Buddha when it says space, then it says that then there is this space between, let's say, myself right now and the and the table, and then there's a space here. So that is what you mean by space. So this is what we call the property of space. When you say space also, it is also, when it comes into Abhidhamma, is also derived element in the sense of it derived from all these material elements. Fall under non-concrete matter, space. Anyway, we don't go into those things. How does it manifest in Vipassana meditation? So space, we don't use this space in the Vipassana meditation. Some people say that yes, you can do that, but not necessary. Because when you don't have any of these five aggregates, then you don't see the impermanence, dukkha, and anatta. Anicca, dukkha, and anatta. You cannot see that. So space here, it's you don't have all these anicca, dukkha, anatta. Now, then because of that, some people say, some people are not, it doesn't accept by all. Some people say there are two types of unconditional element, space and nibbana. Some people say, But in the Theravada text, it says there's only one unconditional element, which is nibbana. But anyway, those are all conceptual things. Conceptual things. So during the Vipassana, we don't have to do that. We don't have to do that because we don't have to use space as a meditation object. But is it important? Space. It is important when you look into samatha meditation. Because samatha meditation, there is a meditation called space kasina, akasa kasina. Space kasina, that means you must imagine or you must perceive a whole that is no elements here, no of these four elements here, no element, nothing here. It's just a space, and you must hold that thought. You must hold that perception, in order for you to go into deeper into samatha meditation, into jhana. In fact, then let's say this space element, and together with some other kasina elements, and let's say you meditate until you get very, very developed very well. So what are you going to get? Then this space element, it will come in when it's not only just into 8 jhana, but it can come into supernormal powers. Supernormal powers here, that means if it's connected to space, then the mind can able to project or to perceive, because that time is the mind is so strong. In the sense that if you have a wall in front of you, you perceive it as a whole, then you can just walk across it. How about that? You can just walk across it. You don't need David Copperfield. You don't need all this magician to do all these crazy things for you. No, this is really walk from this one to another there. Space. Because the mind can able to project, and it can able to make a space in the wall, and the body whole thing can go through space. Another form of space that sometimes you may know this one in the Angulimala. When the Angulimala is chasing the Buddha, then the Angulimala cannot able to catch the Buddha, although the Buddha is just walking. And then here again, space. What is near, the Buddha make it far. And what is far, the Buddha can make it near. So this time is that the far, the Angulimala cannot able to chase the Buddha. So this time the Buddha make a supernormal power, and this time it creates space. It creates space in the sense that Angulimala as an aggregate, the materiality, and the Buddha as an aggregate, it make it very far away. They make it the space wide. Then Angulimala chase, and chase also cannot. This one. Or sometimes you want to go far. On another occasion, you want to go far away. And then there's an urgency for you to do that, and you have these supernormal powers, then what they do is that again from far, you make it near. Yeah? You take the aggregates of elements, you make it near. Then you are just as if like you just walk over, and there you are, you reach there. Space element. Yeah? So if you have that, it'd be good that you come and see me and show me a bit now, you know. That would be very good.